Hi guys, welcome to the Journey of Life podcast, aka JOL podcast. Make sure to follow on Instagram JOL podcast. It's your host Tendi, and today I have a special guest host, my dear friend, um, an amazing woman. She has imparted me with so much wisdom, and she's going to tell you her full credentials because we do not we do not stay humble over here. We brag about it all because we're grateful and we're confident in who we are. So Tori, welcome.
Hi, Tony.
I mean, we've already met, so it's so weird to say hi again. So good to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, like she's one of my most loyal customers because in case you guys don't know, I do hair, I braid and everything like that. Like she's been patronizing me for forever, so we're always having these in-depth conversations, and I think I've learned so much from her, and I think that the world needs to hear her views and the knowledge and the wisdom that she has that she's also imparted me with. So, anyways, we're going to start with the educational part because, like we said on this podcast, I would love for us to equip each other with knowledge. And on Debrecen Diaries, because she's a Debrecenner like the rest of us, we're going to get to know a little bit more about her. So, firstly, you can tell us your name, your age, where you come from exactly, like um, your background a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, my name is Victoria, and I have a second name as well. Not many of you guys know about it, actually. My full name is Victoria Christina Marcy, and I was born in Canada, Windsor, like the Queen. And I was brought here to Hungary specifically very early. I was a couple months old due to the fact that well, Canada is not a country to mess with, so their borders are tight. So unfortunately, my mom moved back with me, and I was raised in the northern part of Hungary with my family. And when I started university in 2015, I shortly after, like a year after, I believe, I moved to Debrecen. So far, I've been here for almost 7 years.
So you did uni in another city before?
No,
Or
I
in
didn't.
another place?
No, I started uni in 2015, and it's
Here?
in
okay.
Debrecen. And at the beginning, I was just still going home a lot, after every
So you mean like
week.
you were like full time?
Yeah, but when I full time moved here, it was in 2016.
So which city do you come from, or town, or this northern place? What's the name?
You didn't do me like that. So basically, I come from actually it's a village, and it's near the town Serencs. And one of the most famous things about Serencs is their chocolate. So yeah, exactly. If you go to Tesco, Aldi,
I think I have seen,
or Coop, for example, you can see Serenci. And yeah, they still make chocolate there, and they used to have a sugar factory there as well, actually. But yeah, due to different political events, they closed that. Yeah, so but it used to be very, very famous. There are a lot of festivals around, and yeah,
I want to go there now.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Trust me, that's
okay.
That's not for the faint of heart.
If you say so.
Yeah, it's in the county of Borscht Boys Dumpling. Yeah, I advise that for the strong one.
Okay, but like you can go with me.
Yeah, if you're with me,
you'll be leading me and showing me, because now it sounds like there's some. I really like these like experiences.
Yeah,
like, in the village or something.
Yeah, I see.
Like
I
that.
see
know
that
what I
you
mean?
actually went
really
to my county. You went to Miskolc. So the trip that you took that time,
I was close enough.
Yeah, you were actually. You were an hour away
Next
from
time.
us.
We're going to run it. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll get probably further because you are dual nationality wise. so you're also
Yeah.
you're half Hungarian and you're also half Nigerian.
Yes.
But we'll get into that later. But right now, I want to ask you about like what did you study in Debrecen? Tell them the credentials, sis.
Well, that's a trip actually, because due to me having Hungarian nationality, I studied in the Hungarian system, and I studied in a unified training that entails 2 majors, and it's basically combined in a way that we started as a BA course and we ended in a master's degree.
Okay.
So all throughout the 6 years, it's as long as a medical degree, and in as much as for depth, it is deep as well, because you study the 2 majors. Mine specifically were English and ethics, and basically it's a teacher training program that it's a unified program, and when you genuinely you have classes on both ends,
On both
and
majors.
yeah, to put it in perspective, it's like having 20 hours of classes every single week, plus electives, plus PE. And because of the in-depthness of our course, we needed to do the PE just as it's required from medical majors, like 3 semesters, because of the length of the course and because you're doing it all together. So you could choose literally anything as for PE, but you needed the attendance.
So what made you choose like to go this route? Was it something that you felt passionate about? Was it something that your parents drove you to do? Like where did teaching English and all this come from?
To be fair, it's always them, right? It's always
For
them.
a lot of us. It's for a lot
like
of us.
literally, when I graduated, I was like, here's my degree, be happy with it, because
I'm so done.
you literally, girl, you were there.
But
The reason I chose it,
you enjoyed teaching though.
I do.
Yeah.
So how all of this started was I was always passionate about languages, and one of my little talents is I can learn very much any language in a month, given I'm in the specific environment and language area as for the exposure, right? And it sticks on me like dirt on people. Like literally, I have a very good language skills, and when it comes to tertiary education, I wanted to be a criminal interpreter. And imagine you work for like a detective unit, and there's someone that did something and
Committed a crime.
you would need to use your mother language, for example, for that, like Chana, or you understand.
You hear it, guys? My friends know my mother tongue. Come on.
Of course we do.
Come on.
So imagine having that variety, and it's you that needs to go there and find out what kind of drugs they smuggled or what's going on,
That's cool. That
so
cool.
it's so exciting.
Badass.
Exactly. And in high school, I didn't want to bring it to all the negatives, but it's part of my life. I've unfortunately been through almost all types of abuse as a child here in the education system. So basically, when it was time for us to choose universities and courses, our teachers in high school were trying to really do a great job of leading us and guiding us, giving us the proper information. And to be fair, in our class, back then, it was like a 99% tertiary education rate. So except for one person, everybody went forward, and all of them were like engineering, doctor, lawyer, all that.
The typical,
the big three, big three, big four, all of that. And when I mentioned that this is what I would be interested in, the form teacher, the class teacher, was kind of belittling me in front of everyone. And given the current situation that I was in already, kind of like me against the 24 people, because I was just always looked at somehow. because I've always been an in-depth person, and my personality is either you like me or you very much don't. And back then I didn't really know how to maneuver around that. And there is that kind of feeling where you just want to fit in, and you just want to be one of them, just be a normal person. That's what I wanted for the whole entirety of my childhood, up until the fact that I noticed that it's not going to happen, and it's never going to, and I don't even want it to be. I don't even want it to be anymore. So I stepped into the power of I am who I am, and there's nothing that you can do about it, because I'm going to be doing me regardless. And but they really much took away the passion for me, or rather the motivation, because in a way I looked up to them, and they were there to exactly, and because they said that it's something that there's no such thing as something like that, ignorance. I was very much of a naive person. I was a very sensitive, naive child. Probably like most children, to be honest. Exactly. Yeah. Plus, in a way, of course, I can blame my upbringing for that, but I'm not going to rather blame it. I would thank it I would put it on the positive side of my upbringing, because that's why I was the child I was, and I'm forever grateful for that, because that's the heart that I received, the proper values, and that's the reason why I'm you're where you are today. Exactly.
You don't have to be humble about it. Yeah, but so ideally, is this where do you still feel like this is where you'd want your career to go at this point?
To be honest,
you feel differently now?
When I think of education as a whole, I never wanted to be a teacher, and because I never answered your previous question, that was the background story. The reason why I chose it is because my mom. So I come from 3 generation of teachers. It was kind of generational. They realized like, this girl has brains. This one can study.
It's already in the DNA.
Exactly.
Let's do it.
And I was protesting against it with everything that I got. And I told my mom that I wanted to learn languages. I wanted to do something about me being able to learn a lot of languages. I just never knew what kind of place or what kind of form. Yeah. Like how do you even vocalize that, right? And I wanted to be something unique. And because I've already spent a lot of time around my mom while she is a teacher, I knew what I was up against, and I knew I didn't want that. However, my mom teaches small children in between the primary school, so that's ages 7 till 14. And when I got into the education as per uni, I realized that the reason why my mom wanted this for me, because I have a part of me that can very much, it's in me. Like, there are things that sometimes people say that you need to be born a teacher, and it's true. You can actually learn that many years, but there are just some people that just have what it takes right from the bat, because it's within them. And I feel that, and all the education and all the practice and experience that I've got so far on that field has proven me that it's true, because of the feedbacks I've received from fellow teachers, mentor teachers.
And you don't have to be one thing or the other.
Exactly. And to answer your next question is, I don't see myself doing it as per now. Currently, I'm not teaching. I'm working for a multinational company, and I miss my kids. I do. But generally, I wish they pushed me to do something that has more worth as per materials, like materialistic wealth, because.
So do you feel like if someone was going to be pursuing this program, let's say right now in Debrecen, there's not a lot of opportunities out there that they can pursue that is outside, let's say, teaching?
Well, I'm going to elaborate on the Hungarian aspect and then push it towards globally. Currently, there is the ongoing battle in education. I think everybody who is walking with two open ears and open eyes can hear and see that what's going on in the country. I'm going to make a Hungarian reference. The status törvény, that is the law. A new law is about to be passed in June, July, and that's pretty much taken away the human personal rights of teachers as a human being. Basically, they can be background checked anytime. They would be forbidden to post anything about their workplace that is some sort of negativity. There's some sort of negativity to it. The classrooms could be equipped with CCTV systems, exactly.
Oh, wow.
And they would double. I mean, generally, teachers' work is already doubled. People just don't see it. Because if you were just to follow one teacher for a whole 24 hours, you would see how much they are actually
not only
working.
teaching math, English, they're being a counselor, emotional support for your kids,
And they don't, like, I am very lucky to be in this position where my shift is off at 6 a.m. this week because I'm doing night shift. And I look out, and that's that. Teachers, they're going to be sleeping and dreaming with the material they're going to be doing because it's creative work. You put it all together. In as much as there are frameworks of how you're supposed to be doing what you're doing in terms of for a certain age group, for a certain level.
You still have to cater to the needs of the children.
Definitely. Plus, you also have a life you're supposed to have. So when, generally speaking, you have like 28 hours per week to teach, that's at least double the amount in preparation and then all in details. So they would increase that number. To be precise, I believe it's 32 now, like 32 to 40 hours. And for other people, it might not actually be so outstanding, as in like, oh, we are all working 40 hours a week, as in full time, right? However, double that and it would be 80 hours a week. And you're receiving less than someone who is collecting the trash from the streets. And with that, I don't mean to, exactly, with the education of 6 years with master degrees. And as per longevity, and there is something called as pedagogy life program, and here in Hungary. And basically, as a starter, if I was continuing the teacher route, I would earn more than someone who has the experience of my mom, for example,
for so many years,
like 15, 20. That's why a lot of teachers have all those side gigs, extra hours, like private lessons, because they need to make up.
This is one of the pandemics that we actually have in the world, because I
exactly
feel like
that's
in my
why
country as well, like this is definitely a problem. Like
and
teachers
that's why
not earning enough, not having enough resources, so they have to dig in from themselves. Because I feel like a lot of, like you said, like you are born a teacher, so a lot of people who are passionate about teaching, they're very passionate about it, so they're taking out of their own resources to give to us,
Yes.
or to give to your kids or their kids, you know what I mean, as much as they can to equip them. So I think that's so important. Hey, I think that's really interesting. I think, and I also got to know about this. I had no idea about this. So I guess, like most people right now, you're figuring out your journey through life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
I feel like one of my, I think before we move on, I just want to ask you, what encouragement maybe you could give to someone who's studying this program on what their prospects are, like maybe the things that you found encouraging for yourself. Like maybe right now you said you're working another job and you're seeking another route, you have another skill and all these things. What would you tell somebody who wants to improve themselves, or who doesn't want to get caught up in the system but has studied the same thing that you've studied?
It's actually very hard because it's such a personal thing. And when it comes to teaching, I used to have course mates who were so passionate to the level that, you know how you are when you're in love, no one can tell you anything. That's the kind of that's very similar. And they are going to get there when they are actually going to the system and they see what they are up against. And by that time it's going to be late. But how do you tell a person, how do you warn those type of people? You can't really. So it this is why it's kind of hard. But for those who are open to hear anything, is what I would say is that they should definitely keep an open mind in whatever they would like to do, either it be what they are studying, if it's the same thing that I did. But generally I would say don't be afraid to look for other routes as well, to make sure that you're building yourself, because in as much as you choose one path, whatever you learn adds to you, to your whole being, and you never know when and how you would be able to use that knowledge. And I'm not talking about the like logarithms or you know,
the skills, the
it's
other life skills that you learn as
there are skills in theoretical knowledge as well. You just need to unlock that and be interested enough to know how to unlock that. Might it be a crucial life event that brings you that there? Might it be another different realization?
Or even an experience in the system and you're like,
Exactly. And I would generally say that anybody would need a business course at this point in life, regardless of what you're studying.
The world is running on entrepreneurship.
Everything. And when it comes to business, even if it's like Hebrew to you, it's just good to put yourself outside of your comfort zone, to open yourself up to things that you don't normally do in your everyday life. It gives you new perspective and it opens you up in certain ways that you never knew you had, and certain aspects. And that's what I would actually advise them, to keep being open. And
I think this is definitely advice.
That's the best thing I could say.
Everybody in uni, actually. I think even personally for me, like, I think I used to I knew this is the mindset that I should have, and I always give this advice, but I don't think I necessarily followed it because I think I felt like I was settled, or I was settled in what I thought. Like, I knew that, okay, this is the direction that I want to go. And then I kind of get to the place where maybe I'm a step away from like the destination, or I'm a step away from starting that thing I thought I wanted to do, and I realized that my mind has changed. So I think one of the things that really happened through uni is that you grow a lot. I think maybe it's a privilege that we don't always appreciate because we are so stressed with education and maybe other life things. But the opportunity to go to university and experience like uni, having to build the tenacity to study when you don't feel like it, to do all these other things that you're supposed to do to achieve the goal in the end, it also builds your character
very much.
It also builds
and changes it.
Yes, and it also changes it. So it, like you said, all the things that you're going through, you're not only adding to your resume, you're adding to who you are as a person.
Exactly.
So that will mean that even how you see your future and the things you want to do with yourself can change, and that's perfectly fine.
Yes.
I think it's one of the hardest things
to overcome.
And overcome, because you also attach some of these things to the expectations that you have personally for yourself,
and to your value, to your worth.
Yes, to your value, and to the people that are around you, be it your family, your mom. Maybe your mom was always looking forward to, my daughter, she's gonna keep the teaching in the bloodline or something like that. So these are things that are important and matter to you, so they are there in the back of your head. But I think it's so important to become who you're supposed to be. And sometimes it's not tied in those things that, let's say you're studying in uni. Maybe uni is actually just equipping you with the resilience that you need for the next phase.
Absolutely.
Maybe you're going to do something completely unrelated to what you studied, but the knowledge that you gained is related to what you'll go through later in life. So I think that's so important. I'm realizing that a lot now. And I think finally I'm getting to that point where I'm accepting it. because I think I was fighting it. Why don't I feel passionate about this? I'm supposed to be feeling excited about this and passionate about this. And like that was my fight that I was battling with myself, instead of realizing that my passion has changed. I have changed as a person. What do I want to do now? What am I passionate about now? Like, what have I grown into, instead of fighting it that I should do things this way?
Yeah.
And I think moving on to this, I think something I really love about you, and I just really adore about you, is the amount of work I feel like, as I think since I started knowing you, that I've seen put in yourself, like whether it's emotionally or economically, like to better yourself, to develop yourself. Like we've been friends, it's so crazy because we don't hang out a lot, but I think there's a real depth to how much we relate, and I love that so much about our friendship. Since I knew you, you were still in uni then. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You were still in uni.
Indeed.
I watched you finish uni. I watched you, get a new job.
Yeah.
And you being so excited about that job.
Yeah, I
and
was.
whatnot, settling into that job. Exactly. You were over the moon, I remember.
I was.
Settling into that job, realizing that you want more.
Yes.
And digging for your more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Moving house, all these things.
Yeah.
And I think hearing the person that you were then and the difference, like, it's incredible. I don't know if
the funny thing is, I don't even remember how it used to be.
So can you imagine some of the things we're holding on to in a few years?
I can, because you just mentioned those things that I actually personally went through. And you know how people say that you sometimes you only remember how you felt in that exact moment. And when you just mentioned that, figuring out that you're not passionate about the certain thing that you're actually studying, I went through that before third year. Because there was a point at the beginning of my course where I was very like, yes, I'm gonna learn this because I can learn. There's one thing about knowing or being able to learn, actually. And there's another thing, being passionate. You can be passionate, you can want to learn. But on the other hand, how should I even put this? You can't avoid emotions.
No.
You can't avoid other things. No. So I was very like straight minded, like set, focused on, okay, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna do this. I always knew what I wanted to be. And I was so strong on that. And it's like losing your feet, both of them at the same time. And you're just wondering, literally, you are just walking on the street without a purpose. This is one of the worst feeling of, like, I don't know how I went through that, but I remember mentioning it to a couple people. And mind you, I need to be selective, as in, you can just bring that up. Like, how do you bring that up to people, uni friends, And
especially when you're seeing them maybe probably still have that drive and that passion, and you're just like, where's mine?
And it's not even about that. It's about you're unsettled in your own core. Like, you're so confused that you don't even know how to put it into words. So you would be just like talking gibberish, and they would be looking at you, because even if you could pronounce it and verbalize it, they would not
understand the feeling.
They can't, because it's something that you feel within that you can't even put into words so far. So how would you even start by telling that? So usually in those situations, if I notice something like that within me, what I do is I keep quiet and I try to analyze it within me to be able to understand it. I need to understand if there's a problem or if there is uncertainty in my life, to the fact that it bothers me. It bothers me to the extent that I will want to understand it, because if I understand it, I can put a terminology on over it that I can go and solve the equation in mathematical terms. But in that specific time, I remember it was months, and I kept wondering, like, when is it going to end? I know it's going to end, and that was the only thing that actually kept me forward, because I was wondering, like someone without soul. This is how I felt. Like, I lost my soul. That's how I felt. That's one of the most awful feelings in this world. Like, especially you knowing what you want to do and being sad and all that, and then suddenly you lose the floor below you. And it was just like, oh my god, what do I do? And even when you're resting, you're just like,
your mind is
exactly. So you become exhausted just by resting because your mind is not sleeping. Yeah, that's on my high function anxiety. So
listen, I think yeah, we're gonna go deep like this. You know what? I think I mean, I don't mind speaking about this, even though it's very, very personal to me. But I feel like it's so important for me to also share this, because I think, I mean, you already know this, but they don't. It's important for me to share this because I think that there's someone who's going to go through this phase, or who's going through this phase, and maybe they may not have the tools that are necessary for them to cope. So I think last year, hey, depression was my brand. Honestly, that was my brand. If you ask me, how are you doing? I'm not okay. It's dark. Like, I didn't even have shame about it. But I think there was a part of me that also sat in that, because I was just so confused and overwhelmed about everything, including my career and all these things. I feel like for a lot of people, you know, these things like education and career, they become your identity.
Yes, that's who you are.
The moment you lose yourself outside of that, it's like the world has ended. Yeah. You know, it's like you stop existing, and yet you're still a person. You're still worthy.
I used to be guilty of that, so I understand.
Of basic things in life, you know what I mean? So I think it was such a huge battle to me, and I feel like that's what actually pushed me to the point of realizing that I need help. I need external help. I need help that my friends cannot give me. Yes. Because my friends can call me every day, check on me,
but they can't relate on the level that you need.
Exactly. They cannot relate because maybe they are not equipped with also the knowledge, and it's not their job to untangle whatever is tangled up inside me. Yeah. And naturally, it's not every friendship or relationship you'll be able to open up the full length. And you can only open up to the level that you also understand what you're going through. Exactly. Which sometimes, like you said, you can't even put it into words yet and everything. So I think I really benefited from therapy and untangling my tangles. You know what I mean? I think it really helped me to realize how much, like, who I am, that I think I constantly denied, but my patterns and behaviors show that this is who I am. You know, I think there's some weaknesses that we denounce as people. No, I'm not an insecure person. It doesn't change that you actually are an insecure person if you are. So realizing that you're insecure and working on your insecurities is what will change that. And I feel like I've always been a person who feels that I'm very strong in my mindset. I don't let anybody push me around. I'm definitely not a people pleaser. And then I sat down in therapy, and the receipts
I understand.
The receipts are giving people pleaser. Like, you know, people, like, I do that for a living.
Like, you know what I mean? And I think, big bucks.
Yeah. And it was like, I wouldn't have thought this for myself, because I'm not a people pleaser, sis. But realizing someone telling me and sitting me down and connecting all these behaviors that I have, perfectionism. I think
oh my god, that's my fourth name at this point.
You know, and I feel like there's also, like, we kind of glorify perfectionism as well.
Definitely,
we do.
Definitely,
we put it on some kind of pedestal, like it's a brilliant trait to have as a person. But I think it can be debilitating, and it can be very, very destructive to who you are.
Yeah, it's actually killing you from the inside. Absolutely. To be honest, because that's when the whole, like, high expectations and all that. Yes. And to be fair,
you're human.
The thing is that for me, I'm still healing on that part, because for me those are just so natural. You know, that it's so natural for me that I expect certain things of myself. Exactly. And obviously, like, people who are closely around me, like you, we understand, right? And that's why I think
the world doesn't.
Exactly. And then you would just be looking
like, calm down, exactly. You're doing too much. Exactly.
And for me, it's not too much. It's like, if you want much, like, if you want less, go find less. But that's me.
Yeah, but then the thing is, you have to. The world doesn't revolve around you, and
obviously,
most importantly, how negatively it will affect you. You know, and I think I had. And I think the problem with perfectionism as well. Like its effects can be it's a spectrum of effects. It can make you hyper vigilant. It can make you so frustrated that you can't get it perfect that you give up. You get what I'm saying?
I used to do that. I was
You're just
6 years old.
I want it this way so badly, and it's not doing that.
Yeah, you can ask that from my art teacher.
This and like I started linking back to a lot of things. Even the way my mom described me as a child, she's like, you've always been that child that you don't mess around with her, you don't touch her things, you don't what. And I feel like
Same.
I'm still this way. And coming to uni and having housemates, I think it has really, really helped with this problem because I'm an only daughter. So I didn't grow up sharing anything, and not even with my mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I grew up with a lot of privacy, which I think that was a good thing. But now I realize that maybe with my kids, I think I'll be a little bit more in their space than the amount of privacy that my mom gave me. She just gave me so much privacy. Maybe it was too much. So you realize that in life, it's so hard to hit that balance, but that's where the sweet spot is.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's where the sweet spot is, and I'm just like.
And depending on how you were structured, as
could I have another strawberry cheesecake? One more. Yeah.
And depending on how you were structured initially by your family, you just need like different approaches as to get to that balance.
Exactly.
And when in literature
and now
class,
you're doing it outside of the comfort of your family or people who know you. You're doing it in the world with other students in class, and you are busy, hyper focusing on this thing, and you're just like, no, but you didn't draw the line perfectly.
There's levels to this.
Everybody's like, are you okay? Are you crazy? It's not that deep. But for you, it is. And I feel like the environment that you've been brought up in has been to cater to who you are. You know what I mean? My mom knew that my daughter doesn't like her things touched. The maids didn't touch my things. They didn't pack my clothes. They didn't touch anything. You get what I'm saying? But in a world where maybe you even have to live with a partner, they're not going to be like.
Yeah, it's like being raised in a bubble. But that's a very, very dangerous thing.
Exactly.
Because if you lack the self awareness to see where you actually are, like to check yourself.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And sometimes how can you become self-aware when there's nothing wrong that has been reflected?
Because for you, it's not wrong. Exactly.
And nobody has said that it's wrong to you. You know what I mean? Like basic things like having to live with housemates. I think that experience has really has definitely improved my abilities to tolerate the presence of other people in my environment, because it's so hard for me. This is why when you come to my house, I'm like, this place is always so in order. It's like
it's the freshness that
obsessive compulsiveness to it as well. Like my housemate had to like sit me down, because for me, like, I already think that how I do things is perfect. You know what I mean? So to me, I can't have someone else bring their kind of perfect, because to me it's not perfect. It's like I expected her to fit in to my world, to do the things, and she said, we can't do everything your way. And I think the thing is that living peacefully with people is so important to me, so I'm always open about that. But I think
that was the factor that could change.
I was just like, I do things really great, so you can just come in on this vibe and join me.
Why not? It's
exactly.
And
she expressed that, I was like, oh shoot, that's true. And I started to be more open. If I want them to be comfortable, because that was important to me, I want them to be comfortable and feel like this is home for them too. So okay, how are they going to feel that it's home for them if they want to put the cups this way, I come and I say put them this way? Is it that deep that the cup handles have to face this way? No.
It's so interesting how your people pleasing was helping solving your perfectionism. Because at this because that was the because I'm a type of person, the reason why I chose ethics is because I'm a very like moral person. That's why I cannot be on OF.
I think I could thrive in psychology.
I've been thinking about that actually lately, but
because
you need the passion to be hearing people.
Yeah, for me, empathy. I'm too much of an empath. Like I just like I take on people's burdens like it's my own, and it would drain me so much emotionally. So I think that being constantly in that environment will be would be not good for my mental health. Like I'll need therapy as after therapy for being a therapist.
Trust me. Yeah, I have these concerns as well. It's just that I'm a very driven person, and I know that you are too. So you would understand where I'm coming from. And there's a certain level where I want to get in my life, and I'm gonna get there. Amen to that.
Yes.
And
Yes, we are.
I'm just trying to find the ways to do that. Obviously, I mean, I think I'm talking for anyone at this point, because everybody wants to make it. But my definition of making it is peaceful.
Yes.
And for me, the definition of peace of mind is a certain level of comfort. You can find comfort in a lot of things.
I realize this,
and that's the problem. That's where I'm guilty of, because you also how should I even put this? You were so nice to open up about these things about perfectionism, and I definitely have that. However, I think mine is not that severe, because for me, I think it was from my mom, because my mom is like that till this day. Like, but I realized early on that that's not what I want to be. But it was still frustrating me if it's not done a certain way. And now I've lived alone for so long that I think I would go down that route again, like re-humble myself. But it's not to that extent that this is where I'm putting the cup and this needs to stay like that, I'm sorry, I'm just using your example. I'm sorry.
It's a little much, but yeah, we're working on it.
It's levels.
I have to breathe through a lot of things in this life. I have to breathe through. I'm just like, okay, this thing is not the way I wanted. It's okay.
It's rather
not
like
the end of the world.
Exactly. For me, it's rather like if I start
Don't let
something,
it ruin your whole day or your whole week.
Oh, it's the whole day and the mood. One thing can mess my mood up for the rest of the day, and it's an awful thing to have, because it's so hard to get myself out of there, and for people to get me out of there. Like, if something throws me off that much, just forget me for today, please. Like, just. But as I'm growing older, I realize that it's getting easier to bounce back.
And I think it takes away from your life experience. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
definitely,
literally anything can happen that can mess your day up. And you can imagine how many days you're going to live with messed up days over trivial things or small things. Yeah. So you constantly live in misery, or not the full amount
misery
of
with capital M.
I'm telling you, it's so not necessary. And I realize that I don't want to live like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make the people that I love uncomfortable in my space as well.
Yeah.
Because I think even maybe that's part of my people pleasing, but I think there's a healthy amount.
Yeah.
If it's people that you care about, and I feel like I always want them to feel welcome. I remember one time.
That's true. I'm going to say something once you finish.
Yeah, I remember one time. I was doing hair for my friends, so I had a couple of friends over. You know what I mean? So obviously, there's people. I was also like making food, and everything like that. So it just got really overwhelming for me, in my room. So
I can feel like that too.
And a lot. Like everything was scattered, and you know how my things are like. And
my God.
And then I'm also doing hair, so there's like hair over there. I was
like
tired,
overstimulation.
Yes, so I just lost it for like a couple of minutes, and I was just like, okay, everybody get up. Then I started like rearranging everything, cleaning up and tidying up. Then I was like, okay, let's continue. But you can imagine how uncomfortable it made. And I remember the guy I was dating at the time. After everybody had gone, he was like, you didn't have to do that. And I really thought about it, and I was like, that's true. I can't imagine how uncomfortable that made them, because now are they welcome in my space if they feel like they are making it messy or they are making it dirty or something like that.
They don't live up to your standards.
Exactly. And I was like, I don't want the people I care about to feel this way, so I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on being comfortable in this space. They're going to go. Or I can always fix it. If the pillows, literally, my
eventually they're gonna go.
When she comes to my house, she sits on my couch. She doesn't fix anything. I just say she knows to just get up and go. Because even if she fixes it, it's not to my satisfaction. But I can't expect the rest of the world to understand like who I am and cater to that. And I can't live in that, that everything is driving me mad. I will lose it. And I can only imagine there are other people like that. The way I do things is not the way they do things. You know what I mean? But anyways, I really wanted to ask this, and I think I asked my friend Chido on the other episode. At which point did you feel like you transitioned from a girl to a woman?
Wow.
Because I don't know what you consider yourself right now, or maybe you feel like you haven't gotten there, but I don't believe that.
I would absolutely call myself a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's one point in time that I should recollect and say, I think it was definitely a long sequence of events. Because I grew up very early. I at the age of from the age of 14 until the age of 18, I was raising my two brothers. And meanwhile, I had like 10 classes a day in high school, doing all the curriculums and extracurricular stuff. And I was also a competition dancer back then as well. So
It's always, I mean, you told me this, but it's always fascinating when you hear it because I just want to see it.
I'm so rusty at this point. I don't know how many years I'm not dance professional. Like it's just, but it's forever my passion, and I've been actually thinking about that. But that's besides the point. So the thing is that I think me becoming a woman, there was one point in time, right? I think I was here already in Debrecen, and I was going to somewhere on the tram, and you know how you can see your reflection in the tram window. And there was one point in time, that was my first ever time when I just looked at myself in the mirror, the reflection rather. And I noticed like, oh my god, I have good legs. That was the moment I noticed that I actually have a nice shape, because previously I didn't really give a single flying F about it.
Like realizing a transition in your physical or appreciating your physical appearance.
That's when I think the whole process caught up for me, because mentally I was already ahead. I feel. And I would say the last couple of years, specifically the last 2 years, I would say that puts the missing end at the end, because that was a roller coaster. So
I mean, without digging into any details that you're not okay sharing, I feel like that's a significant part of like a lot of wisdom that you've gained as well.
absolutely.
Would you like to share the tools that you learned to cope or to overcome the difficult parts of your life that maybe someone could learn from? You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I could talk a lot about how I almost became a functional alcoholic because of a trauma. And that I think that would be very useful to people in uni. There's a lot that you go through uni, people would not even think. And I could talk about how when you give your all, you can't expect the same in return. Obviously.
I think I would give it the advice that I would give as well is that I think if you can get any kind of mental health support, take it.
Absolutely.
Take it. There's nothing embarrassing about going to therapy or going for counseling or seeking that support. Take it. Don't be scared to take it. If you need it, take it.
I think one thing that I would like to highlight here is one of the hardest things about traumas, I believe, is about rewriting yourself so you can get the help, or you would want to, or you would realize that you actually need the help. Because there was a time
sometimes
when
it can take you going so far in the trauma, and sometimes it's not necessary
Exactly.
to get there.
Exactly.
That's so true.
I would say self-awareness above anything. And what I would say as an extension to that, for coping mechanisms, I almost completed almost 3 years of therapy from 2020 November. So it's like 2.5 kind of. And one of the greatest things that helped me personally is when I'm very confused about me analyzing a certain thing in my mind in the healing journey, I just grab a piece of paper and I write whatever comes out, like literally however it comes out, because it might not make
It's
sense.
so hard for me, but I think when I started doing that a little bit, I started to also find release, because I'm a person who holds things a lot. And when I think I was listening to some podcasts and everything like that, and they were talking about certain things that I didn't have the words to express, and I wanted to express it, but I didn't know the best word. They were talking about that, so I started writing it on my phone. Immediately, I felt relief.
That's
As
that
if
factor.
I'd even said it to the person I wanted to say it.
There's that factor as well. So on one side, it helps you relieve all the stress that you're feeling and the frustration. And on the other hand, you might actually notice something, or you might actually come to the realization of what it actually is just by, it's just like peeling an onion. So you're just writing those things down, and then you might actually notice something that will lead you to another thing. I think a lot. Like, I don't know whether other people think that much, but I'm always in my head.
Right there.
Like,
right there.
I'm just always thinking, and I genuinely like thinking. And when it comes to coping mechanisms, as for trauma, I would say at the end of the day, everything comes down to your own moral compass, I think. What you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. Because in as much as I'm not a person that drinks a lot, like literally, you don't see me in the club being like white boy wasted. Like, you don't. And I never used to be that way. That's not my number one thing to go when I have a problem. However, I was hurt so much deeply inside once that I never knew that I was hurt that much. What I noticed was
behavior.
Tuesday, I was in a bar. Wednesday, I was out again. Thursday, I was drinking again. And these were not like to the extent or over a certain limit. I was just drinking way more, because back then you could see me once in 6 months. I was still working 12 hours a day. I was still completing my education to top notch. I was planning, or I was supposed to, and I did. I was planning to. I was before teaching a bunch of 17-year-olds, like my brother's age, children, standing in front of them, telling them about this, that, and the third values. But previous Saturday, if they would have seen me, I could have literally.
Was that also part of a turning point for you?
Absolutely.
Knowing that you're a mentor and you want to lead by example?
Absolutely. And it's not even the example. I wouldn't have been able to sit with myself. When I noticed, that was the time when I noticed, like, Tori, we have a problem. Like, it felt like I'm a very metaphorical person. I felt like I see how people's life
can change,
then divert to the verse. Like, I was there at the cliff, where I could see the where down below. Exactly. And I knew that this is not me. This is not me, because I used that to cope. And when you already have something like, oh, you like drinking or something, it's so easy to just slip.
I definitely agree.
And just go without knowing that there is an underlying issue that you've not dealt with.
I feel like for the most part of my life, I've had a healthy relationship with alcohol. I think especially coming from a place of trying to protect myself from alcoholism because I've seen it from my background and things like that, and I don't want that for myself.
Yes.
Even though alcohol is something I want to indulge in, so I never had an unhealthy relationship or never drink to stupor or something like that. But I did notice, and I only realized it retrospectively, that there was a point that I would drink way too much, way more than what is normal for me to usually drink. And when I look back at those times, I was really going through a tough time internally while I was, I think, in a relationship. But it was so difficult for me to feel, I think, the loneliness I was feeling when I was surrounded by so many people. So I think I just couldn't understand or cope with those emotions. So whenever I would go out, I'll take it out on the alcohol. And you know, like the next day I was realizing I hate feeling like hungover and things like that. And I would just be like, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel this way. Yeah, I enjoy drinking and things like this, but it's not this deep. You know what I mean? And I'll be frustrated. And I would feel that this is wrong. Exactly. Do you get what I'm saying? This is wrong. I don't feel that drinking alcohol is wrong, but this, what I've done, this is not right. That's where I said the internal moral compass, your home upbringing, and the standards you hold yourself up to. Don't give it in the hands of anybody, because that's you. That decides what you do, and what you do becomes your character. And that's one of the most important things, like how you prioritize and what in your life. This is a reflection, I think, even for people to see how easy it is to fall into anybody could do that, abuse or addiction, because like anything pretty much can trigger it. You don't have to be, you know, the least disciplined with anything that you do, but tough times, difficult times in life, I think this is the power that they have. And this is why I think for me, like, I'm so big on preaching to get the support that we need to cope, because life will continue to happen, hard situations will continue to happen, but we need to learn healthy mechanisms to cope. Because that's the root of a lot of things. There was a question actually that was asked, and I forgot to bring it up when we were talking about your the city. Someone asked how palinka is made and why it's so significant in Hungarian culture. What is it made from, even? It's made from different fruits, actually. Really, a mixture. Like my grandmother used to gather all the plums in the backyard and do the palinka. Oh wow! From my backyard, yeah. Oh, wow, so cool. It's made from different. You can have like pear. You can have apple, strawberry, plum. So what do they do? Like, do they mash it together? Basically, they collect it, and I think they, as much as I know, I mean, I used to go to all these places that they cook the palinka and they do the distillation or all those things. But I hope Hungarians will not come for me because I'm not the true representative for this. The thing is that maybe when the podcast grows, we have a palinka brewery will come and tell us how they make palinka. How they do it is, I think, collect the fruits, and I think they wait a long while for those to what's the proper English for that? Fermentation. Excuse me. So for the fermentation, and after the fermentation, they brought. I know the machine that they put it in. So basically, it goes through the machine, and basically, what's significant about it is that it has the least substances. I think they add sugar and whatnot, but I don't think they add a lot of things to it. Okay. So not a lot of for it to and whatnot. Yeah, like the actually the longer it stays, the better. So if you have palinka from 2 years, it's strong. And the other significant part is that's kind of the highest as per percentage. I mean, you know, homemade is always it's like palm wine now. So it's actually the strength is very strong to palm wine. Yeah. And I know, I mean, Hungarians are like, if you have a cough, yeah, you have a cold, if you have this palinka, I'm like, okay, we're on this.
Yeah, Balkan people and their home remedies, alcohol is going to be in it nevertheless. And the thing is that Hungarians are very proud of this drink, understandingly, and it's like Mexicans about tequila.
Tequila.
Yeah, because it's a very similar way of how they do. I mean, it used to be called. There's relations to Mexico actually and Hungary.
Oh wow!
You wouldn't even think. I took a uni course on it. Yeah, it was so interesting. So basically, I think there was some relation in between palinka and tequila, and one of them used to be called. Let me just give you an example, like the Hungarians tequila or something like that. You know.
Okay.
So, because I can't recite it properly, like word to word now, because it's been years. But there was something about that too. So it's actually just a unique way that they have something that they have created, and it has survived through generations.
I'm telling you, I don't think that palinka will ever die. I think that's so amazing
in this country.
So if you come to Hungary, have some palinka, have a shot.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I have a little, maybe it's not a game, but like a few things about Debrecen, obviously because we're here.
Oh boy.
So can you tell me 3 Debrecen icks, like things that just like annoy you about Debrecen?
Yes, I think it's way too easy. The 3 icks I have. One is I would say how much how ignorant people can be. I would say. I notice. I think it's even general in bigger cities. It's true, but in Debrecen, and there are some just cases like housing, whatnot. Then you notice that
and it's like after all this exposure, how are you still this ignorant?
Exactly.
You can expect it in other places, but Debrecen, not really, right?
Yeah, that's one. Secondly, the other ick I will have is it's not even about Debrecen. I think it's about me. I feel like I've outgrown this place so much. Like I'm not home.
I was about to say, like, I don't know, my list of icks in Debrecen, I think they've shot up in the past 2 years or 3 years for sure.
And the third I would say is the lack of opportunities, even though it's literally a uni town. As for university students, internationals, I think they have a lot of catching up to do still. And
I'm telling you,
as per uni perspectives, I think it's a very divided thing between internationals and Hungarians, and only those Hungarians who are open and adventurous and they are not scared to speak English. They get to experience outside of their own bubble. Other than that, everybody is just living in their bubble. So what I would say as the third ick is about generally Hungary, because that's how they are.
Yes, and
a lot of people.
So sad to be like the vicinity is so close that's like having a different perspective or an experience is not even that far away. It's not as far as crossing the border.
Exactly.
It's like right that person next to you.
You don't even need to travel. They are here.
You know,
everybody's here.
How close it is, and I know it's really kind of sad that way. I think my icks are so superficial. First of all, the first thing that's icking me, there's no Instagram music. I'm tired of it.
I agree.
I'm tired of it.
I wonder whether you're gonna bring that aspect.
Yeah.
Go on.
I'm tired of not having Instagram music or anything else that we can access simply because we're in this location. I guess that's a Hungary ick, not just a Debrecen ick, but I live in Debrecen. My next Debrecen ick is the age group lack of diversity, especially at this point where we have kind of aged out of Debrecen, and I feel like you feel that sensation simply because there is not a wide range of age groups in the city. It's like we are at now the top of the column, and it's like, okay, I want to meet new people, and all these things, do different things, and I want to meet new people.
Yeah.
I want to
meet people
change
on your level.
Yes, because my lifestyle and
Exactly.
everything is now different
Yeah.
from a person who's like still in
Yeah.
uni life or a person who's now
Yeah.
about to leave uni life. My life experiences, my age and everything, it's changed. So it's just I'm not there.
Let me note on that before people would take it to heart. The thing is that because it's good to make friends with younger people as well.
And I do
It's just
have
that
them.
me too. It's just that eventually, if you're driven and you're a purpose driven person, I believe that you are whoever you surround yourself with, and there is
You get to a point you stop growing.
exactly, and that's what me I can talk on speak on my account, but I think we would like to kind of avoid, but it doesn't mean that we are not friendly to people who come to the town, or like I genuinely almost every day you can see me helping someone on the street. The girl that I sent to you, she saw my hair the next day. She just, I was walking Riley.
She told me.
She just like asked me off of the street just like that.
We love that for you guys. We love that. I think my next ick, even though I don't feel like this has ever affected my life, to be honest, my entire stay in Debrecen, because I don't think I've just been that deeply connected, and I generally don't care, honestly, because something I've experienced for a long time in my life is irrelevant. But a Debrecen ick of mine is gossip, like the way people like to be in other people's life, gossiping, talking about other people's life. And
trust me, they don't need too much around.
And it's not. I think it's all the communities. It's not even just like, let's say, the African community or something. All the communities, they gossip about each other. You will find it in any nationality that you can imagine.
I think I'm lucky in that sense. I might be lucky, or it's just the way I am, because
I think if you're not that involved, you never.
It's never. I hear about it so much.
I feel like this is how I experience things. Like I hear so many things that I know I shouldn't know, and this is how I know this gossip is bad.
You're an approachable person.
Tendi, who has never met this person, who does not care, who would never be involved. Why do I know such an intimate detail about their life, whether it's true or not? Like, why is
do you hear that during you're making their hair? Because it's a different thing.
No,
because
actually,
or it's rather friends.
Even some, because it's so interesting. I think when I do hair, people don't tend to gossip because I don't gossip. But I feel like they tend to share things that I feel like
more personal.
So I feel like if I was a gossip, then I would have things to tell people.
Yeah.
But for me, it's such a privilege for people to open up to me in that way, and I think I also open up. So I think I wouldn't want them to go and to talk about what we talked about. But honestly, most of the times when I share something with someone, especially someone that I don't really know and I can't trust, I assume that maybe they're going to talk about it to somebody, and will I be comfortable with that?
Take it into the equation,
exactly.
like,
so I'm just
of course.
I don't care if they say so, but no, actually, I guess we only gossip if there's a platform to. My clients never gossip. They never tell me things about other people. Hardly. I mean, if it has happened, I can't even count on how many fingers, considering how many people they have done.
To be fair, mine neither. And
I think it's about you also.
About me.
Because if you were a gossip monger, you get some juice.
I mean, we love some drama, hearing about it, but we are separating ourselves.
You can even tell me the drama, but I don't want to know who it is. I don't want. You just tell me, something like this happened
to so person, so amount of days. The thing is that it's very interesting because I think it's a people thing. It's a people thing because it happens on the Hungarian side as well. My Lashtak, right? She's Hungarian, and there was one specific okay, let me do this English again. So there was one specific instance where I've been going to her for more than a year now, and it was once nowadays when I went there. I got there a bit earlier, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have lunch if you don't mind. I had lunch. That's some pastries, by the way. So I didn't bring a whole table of starters and exactly, kind of. So and the previous client, she was still working on it, right? It was actually a very nice vibe. So once the client left and it was my turn, so we started to talk, and for some reason, she started to say things like, "You wouldn't even believe what people tell me," and she told me about very specific things. Like she literally knows about private parts of old Debrecen, kind of, because of her client. So just to give you a representation. So it's definite, and I was so shocked because me as a service provider, like I'm lucky that I don't experience this in a way. If my clients share things, that's their own, right? But I don't hear like, oh, did you hear so person did so thing, like I don't really give a single flying F about it. Like if that's their life, unless it unless it affects you in any sort of way, that's the relation I'm looking at it. So I think, yeah, you're right. It's us.
It is an ick for me, even though it doesn't affect me. But it's just like, people, can't we do better? Mind your business. But yeah. So I wanted to also ask things that you love about Debrecen. I think I'll go first. Um, 3 things that I love about Debrecen. I think Debrecen is so beautiful.
Yes.
I think it's so beautiful. Like especially in spring, this is my favorite time of the year. Spring, and then spring, summer, before it gets too hot. I think it's so beautiful. It's clean. I love Debrecen for that. I feel like if I could go and work and be in an environment that is stimulating for me, like the kind of stimulation that I feel like I'm not getting here, I would love to live in a city like Debrecen. You know, it's like quiet. It's like
I understand why you say that. Yeah.
Things like that. I would love that. I think it's so me. I'm from Harare, which is the capital of Zimbabwe, and it's, you know, big city vibes. But I think I'm not a big city girl. I like to go to this. I would rather go to the city and live in a place that's like this. You know what I mean? It's not too quiet, but it's not like hustle and bustle. You know, people everywhere. You don't know. Another thing, yeah. So yeah, like I like the life pace. It's like a good pace for me. It's not too fast. It's not too slow. So I think maybe it's the same thing. And yeah, I think these are the things that I really love about Debrecen. I love the city for that. So I'm just like, I spent a lot of time here, but every time I walk out on a spring day or take a walk, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore, but I love the city. So I realized that it's not the environment per se, or like physically, that I don't like, but probably on a mentally stimulating level. I've grown out of it. Yeah, I've grown out of the environment. How many times can I go to the same places and meet the same people over and over? It's the same, you know. And I feel like I'm at that point where if I'm around people, I'm constantly giving out or imparting knowledge or imparting advice, and I feel like I'm no longer being fed like I used to. Because before I had so many older friends who would be doing
You like
that
stimulation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think I would really appreciate getting a bit more stimulation, you know, even outside of my friendships. You know what I mean? Like random.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I think that would be really nice. Yeah. Dating pool try.
That's what I wanted to say. That's where I wanted to go.
Basically,
my fourth
this is
ick. Where are the nice guys?
Round in the circle. We all want to say the dating pool is trash.
It's trash.
That's what
Where are you guys? Like really, like you never really show face. Not that I do, but
exactly. Exactly. We're all stuck inside. Come on, side.
I mean, I have a 30-minute walk at least every single day because of my dog. So at least I'm showing my face.
I'm going to the gym, and I don't want to
Exactly.
talk to anyone in the gym. Don't
but
you dare.
Mind you live next to that thing.
That's my me time, and then after my me time, I go for some more me time in my house.
The 3 things I like about this city. One thing, I cannot go and not mention the greenery here, like
It's
the
lovely.
botanic enrichment. I don't even know what big English to describe.
Yes.
Because if I compare it to Budapest, it's like I love the fact that I can wake up to all the blackbird in the back garden, and I might not be I might not be even able to sleep because of them, but I don't mind. I don't mind the stimulation of nature. In fact, I very much love it. I love the fact that it has been the second time that with Riley we walked up from here, from Santa to Nadiade.
Riley is a lovely dog, by the way.
And with his 10 years of age,
I'm telling you,
Grandpa
Riley getting 5-star
sprinting up. He was sprinting up 3 kilometers straight up like that, coming back like that. I didn't believe. So besides that, I love the fact like just spending alone time with him, you know, going to a park. I love the fact that we are so much surrounded by all this green, like nature, and on the account of the pace of life, I 100% understand you. Like, in a way, I don't feel pushed by my outside environment. I feel pushed by internally, but that's because of the lack of stimulation. So I feel the exact same thing. Because it's not stimulating enough, but it's not too much stimulating either. So it's kind of like in between, but you're still not where you want to be. So I get you. So it's
Anyways, to wrap this up, because we can talk for days, and I have a feeling, okay, like we just have so much to say, and there's just not enough time. So while we continue our stimulating conversation, we're gonna wrap it up over here. And I'd love to have you back if you have us.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Thank you so much, Tori, for coming to the podcast. Tori does nails in Debrecen. I don't know if you're taking any new clients, but
I do.
Even if you're not, you can get your nail inspo at Tori Art Nails on Instagram. You can follow her on Instagram.
Yes, you can pull up, write me a question.
Insta handle as well. Exactly. And she's welcome for your questions, guys. Follow her. You can also follow me at Tendaishe Monalissa. You can follow my hair page at Tendi's Best Hands. Follow the podcast at JOLpodcast. You know, make sure you download the episode, listen to it. You know, on all the platforms, with Spotify, with Apple Podcasts,
everything.
You name it.
Come on with the support.
Yeah,
everything.
I don't want to come up with a name for you guys, but there's one that's loading. This is the Journey of Life podcast. You guys are lifers because we are trying to live life. We are going to be living in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Take care and God bless. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.